You were never forgotten, the universe still whispers your name every night. Don't scroll, because someone out there never stopped thinking about you. Even when you disappeared from their world, your name kept echoing through the silence, and the universe never let it fade. It still whispers your name every night, waiting for the moment you'd feel it again. The night has a memory, even if people don't. It holds everything we try to forget, the laughter that once filled the room, the promises we thought time erased, the faces that still return when we close our eyes. Tonight the sky glows quieter than usual, as if listening for something, and you can feel it, that faint hum in the air, that strange heaviness behind your ribs, like someone just spoke your name miles away. You look up at the ceiling, half smiling, half breaking, whispering I'm fine even though your heart knows better. But somewhere beyond the horizon, someone is thinking about you. Maybe they don't say it out loud anymore. Maybe life buried your story under new responsibilities, new faces, new noise. But their soul remembers. Every night before they sleep, your name slips through their thoughts like a ghost of peace they never truly found again. The universe hears it, the soundless prayer, the wish too proud to say out loud, and it carries it like wind carries perfume, invisible but undeniable. You pour a cup of tea you don't really want, sit near the window where the streetlight paints golden lines on your floor, and the world feels both too big and too small. You wonder if they ever think of you, or if that chapter has closed for good. But the breeze moves through the open window, gentle and deliberate, brushing against your cheek like an answer you weren't ready to believe. And in that moment, you realize, energy doesn't lie. When a bond is real, it leaves fingerprints on the universe. Every memory becomes a frequency, every emotion a signal that travels far beyond time and distance. Somewhere, they can't explain why they suddenly stopped what they were doing, why the same song you loved starts playing out of nowhere, why the same streetlight flickers the way it used to when you both walked past it years ago. It's not coincidence, it's connection. The kind that refuses to fade, no matter how much life tries to separate it. The kind that reminds you, love was never meant to be owned, only remembered. You look up at the stars, and they seem closer tonight, brighter somehow, like they're trying to tell you something. You whisper into the air, if you still remember me, send me a sign. And the universe, always listening, smiles quietly. A car passes below with the same song you used to hum. The tea in your hand cools, but your chest feels warm. That's how you know it heard you. That's how you know you were never forgotten. Across cities and miles and years, the echo of your name still floats, and someone, somewhere, still answers every time it calls. Because love never ends. It just changes the language it speaks. And tonight, the universe is whispering in fluent memory. Watch what happens next. The night doesn't end, it just changes shape. It becomes a softer kind of silence, one that breathes with you instead of against you. You stay by the window, eyes half closed, letting the world blur into sound and shadow. Outside, the street is empty except for the faint reflection of passing headlights smearing across wet asphalt like thoughts you can't catch. You can still feel the echo of that strange warmth from before, the sense that something unseen is circling back, a piece of your past looking for Home somewhere miles away, a phone vibrates on a bedside table. A man rolls over half asleep, checks the screen, finds nothing new, but his heart stumbles anyway as if it expected your name. He doesn't know why you cross his mind tonight. He hasn't thought of you in months, or maybe that's what he tells himself. He sits up, runs a hand through his hair. The air feels heavy like the moment before rain, and he whispers a question no one hears. Are you okay? His voice disappears into the dark, but the universe catches it, holds it like glass, and somewhere on your side of the sky a wind stirs faintly, brushing your curtain. You look up at the same moment, and for no reason your eyes sting. The connection so quiet, so invisible, you almost doubt it, but it's there, breathing through the distance like the tide returning to shore. He gets out of bed, walks to the window, looks at the city spread beneath him, lights flickering like memories that won't stay still. He remembers your laughter, how it used to fill up a room, how you'd talk about the universe as if it were a friend, listening to every word. He smiles without meaning to, because even now he can almost hear you saying everything happens when it should. He doesn't believe it, not fully, but tonight he wants to. Somewhere deep inside both of you there's a clock that never stopped ticking toward this hour. You put down your cup, trace circles on the glass with your finger, draw nothing in particular, just movement to fill the space, but when you blink you realize the fog your breath left behind looks like an infinity symbol. You laugh quietly, whispering, of course it does. The universe always did have a sense of humor. You sit back, close your eyes, and remember that night long ago, the one where you both stood under the streetlight talking about constellations and promises you never had to keep. The way he said your name, like a sentence that didn't need ending. You exhale slowly, the sound more like surrender than grief. Somewhere he does the same, 2 breaths released into the same sky, the same hour, the same thought carried through air and memory. There are people who say connections fade, but maybe they just sleep, waiting for nights like this to wake up. He finds his old notebook tucked behind a drawer, opens it, dust scattering across the light, your handwriting still inside, a note you left years ago. Never forget who you are. He reads it aloud, and something inside him steadies. He doesn't know if it's faith or fatigue, but he closes the book and whispers, won't you lie back on your bed, eyes fixed on the ceiling, the city's glow bleeding faintly through your window. It feels like the universe itself is exhaling through those cracks, reminding you you're not lost, you're found, even if you don't see it yet. The hum returns, low and steady, the kind that feels like the earth spinning under you. You think of everyone who left, everyone who stayed, everyone who taught you how to love by leaving, and you realize none of them really vanished, they just changed address on the map of your heart. Outside, the first hint of dawn is brushing against the horizon, painting everything in silver and blue. You sit up, watch it unfold, whisper thank you to no one and everyone at once. Across the city he's watching the same sunrise, his coffee cooling, forgotten on the sill, and for the first time in years he feels at peace. The light touches both your faces at once, and the universe smiles, quiet, proud of its symmetry. You don't know it yet, but this moment is being written into its memory, an entry under proof that nothing real is ever lost. And when you finally close your eyes, it isn't to sleep, it's to listen, and what you hear is simple, soft and certain, your name whispered back across eternity. Watch what happens next. Morning stretches across the sky like forgiveness, and the light that seeps through your window feels different today. It feels aware, as if it's carrying someone's thoughts straight to you. You lie still, eyes half open, heart caught between calm and ache, wondering why the silence feels so alive. Your phone buzzes, once a random notification, a memory from years ago, your photo smiling under a sky just like this one, and suddenly the air inside the room shifts. You can almost hear that laughter again, that moment frozen and kept somewhere safe, not in your phone, not in your mind, but in the pulse of everything around you. You whisper to no one, maybe that's what love really is, not something we keep, but something that keeps us. Across the city he's walking through the park, the one he never visits anymore. The trees are taller, the benches older, and yet the path feels unchanged. He doesn't know why he came here, only that he couldn't stay inside. Something kept pulling him, and now that he's here it makes Since the wind is cool, the sunlight gentle, the exact kind of morning you used to chase when you both talked about escaping everything. He sits on the bench where you once left your scarf, the same one you keep folded in a drawer now, and when he looks at the empty space beside him, it doesn't feel empty at all, it feels like presence disguised as air. He takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, and says quietly, "Thank you for existing, not for me, just for being you." The words drift into the air light as prayer, and the universe carries them out past the trees, over rooftops, through clouds, until they find their way back to your window. You feel it then, a weight lifting, a sudden ease, like something long overdue finally exhaling. You don't know why you smile, only that it feels right. The universe is always a circle, what leaves eventually returns. You decide to go outside. You walk through streets that feel freshly washed from last night's rain. Everything gleams in slow motion. People pass by carrying their own invisible stories, and you wonder how many of them are thinking of someone the way you are. You reach a small cafe and step inside, the smell of coffee and old wood hugging you like memory. You sit by the window and order tea. The waiter nods with that sleepy kindness that belongs to mornings, and you find yourself tracing the rim of the cup absent-mindedly. The song playing softly in the background stops you mid-breath. It's the same song he once played for you, the one that felt like home before you even knew what home meant. Your fingers tremble slightly and you laugh, because this is exactly how the universe talks, not with thunder, not with signs in the sky, but with gentle reminders tucked inside ordinary hours. You take a sip, look outside, and the sunlight hits the glass just right, making it hard to see beyond the reflection. But for a second you think you see him standing across the street, head tilted just so, the way he always did when he was about to smile. You blink and he's gone, but the feeling stays, that familiar warmth wrapping around your chest, not longing, just understanding. You whisper softly, "If it's you, I hope you're okay." And somewhere in the city he turns his head as if someone called his name. He smiles, a quiet half smile, because he feels it too, that sudden peace for no reason, that sudden memory that isn't sad anymore. He looks at the sky and says under his breath, "Maybe we're learning how to love without needing to own it. Maybe that's what the universe wanted all along. Connection without chains." He walks on lighter than before. You finish your tea, leave a few bills under the cup, and step outside. The wind greets you immediately, playful, almost guiding you. You look up, the clouds parting in lazy motion, revealing a patch of sky so blue it hurts to look at. It's the same blue as that day years ago when everything began, and you realize it never really ended. The story just changed rhythm. You start walking, no plan, no destination. The city hums around you, steady, alive. Every sound, every face, every movement feels connected to something bigger, something watching, guiding, weaving your name quietly into the fabric of time. And somewhere, maybe across the world, maybe just a few streets away, he feels that same rhythm, and for the first time in forever you're both moving in harmony again, not toward each other but with each other. And the universe exhales, relieved, whispering through the wind, they finally understand this was never about reunion, it was about recognition. Watch what happens next. The day unfolds like a soft echo of something remembered, every sound shaped with meaning you can't explain, every breath reminding you that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You wander through the streets aimlessly, but it doesn't feel like wandering, it feels like listening. The city hums in its own language, a rhythm of footsteps, laughter, sirens, and wind, all blending into something that sounds like music when you stop trying to control it. You notice small things you never did before: a woman handing a stranger an umbrella, a child chasing a leaf, an old man humming to himself as if he's keeping the world in tune. It all feels connected somehow, part of the same message you've been hearing quietly beneath everything. You pass a bookstore with the door propped open and a bell that rings as you step inside. The smell of paper and ink feels like nostalgia wearing a new coat. You run your fingers along the spines of books without reading the titles, just feeling the weight of words that belong to someone else's truth. The owner nods at you from behind the counter, a gentle smile like they've been expecting you, and says without preamble, "Sometimes the universe uses stories to remind us we're not alone." You nod, unable to speak, because how could they know? You buy a notebook without even checking the price and leave with your pulse still uneven. Outside, the afternoon light spills gold across the pavement, stretching the world longer than it should be. You find a park bench, sit down, open the new notebook, and write on the first page, "Maybe love is the universe keeping track of where we've been." The words don't sound profound, but they feel right. The pen glides easily as if the page was waiting. You keep writing, small thoughts, fragments of feeling, every realization that tries to bloom before it fades. You don't write for him or for anyone else this time, you write because it feels like breathing. As the pages fill, a calmness spreads through you, the kind that doesn't need proof or answers. You realize you've stopped checking your phone, stopped expecting the next sign, and that's when the next one comes, not as a message or a coincidence but as peace. Miles away, he sits by the water again, a notebook of his own open in his lap. He doesn't know why he brought it, only that something told him to. He writes your name once at the top of the page, then pauses. The sky reflects in the river, gold and trembling, and he finally understands, it was never about finding you again but about finding himself in the space you left behind. He writes slowly, some connections aren't meant to fade, they're meant to guide. He closes the notebook, the sound of pages folding like closure. He stands, lets the wind take one loose sheet that slips free and carries it toward the city. It drifts for blocks, tumbling through light, brushing rooftops and wires before landing near your feet where you sit writing your own truth. You look down, startled, and see the paper caught against your shoe. You pick it up, and the words blur for a second before coming into focus. Some connections aren't meant to fade, they're meant to guide. You laugh softly, not surprised, not afraid, just full. You fold the paper carefully and tuck it inside your notebook. You whisper, "I hear you," not to anyone, not expecting a reply, just letting the universe know the message was received. As the sun lowers, painting the sky in orange and rose, you realize that closure was never the ending, it was the beginning of understanding. You walk home slower, unhurried, the world humming in a softer tone now. Everything feels lighter, like gravity has loosened its grip. At your door you pause, looking back once, the wind cool against your face, carrying the faint smell of rain and something like memory. You smile and whisper to the air, "Thank you for remembering me." The world seems to smile back in warmth and quiet affirmation. Far away, he's watching the same sunset from a different angle, the same colors spilling over his world, the same peace settling in his chest. He whispers into the breeze, "Thank you for finding me." And though the words dissolve into distance, the meaning doesn't. Somewhere in between, in the invisible middle where all things connect, the universe hums contentedly. It doesn't need to prove anything. It already has. And as night begins again, you both stand in different corners of the same sky, unaware that the stars above you are the same, that their light is old, that it traveled years just to reach you both now. You breathe, and so does he, and the timing matches perfectly. The universe listens, as always, patient and proud, watching two souls finally understand what it tried to say all along, that nothing real is ever lost, it only learns how to find its way home. The night returns not as darkness but as understanding, soft and steady like the pause between heartbeats. You sit by the window again, lights dim, the world outside slow and golden from the last traces of sunset. Everything feels quieter now, not empty, but full in a way words can't carry. You look up at the stars, the same ones you've been whispering to for years, and this time they don't seem far, they seem like they've been waiting for you to finally listen. The city hums beneath them, steady, alive, but you hear something different now. Your name, carried gently in the wind, the same rhythm you once felt in someone else's voice, only now it belongs to you too. The ache you used to call loneliness feels different tonight, it feels like memory exhaling, like peace putting its hand on your shoulder and saying you did it, you made it through. Somewhere out there, he pauses mid-step, hand on his chest, the same strange warmth blooming that always happens when the universe delivers a message. He smiles without knowing why, looks up, and whispers thank you into the sky, the words finding you before the echo fades. You close your eyes, smile back into the night, and whisper I know. The air shifts, calm, complete. Every question you've carried feels answered in a language too quiet for sound but too clear for doubt. You understand now that the universe never stopped whispering your name, it was you who stopped believing you could hear it. You laugh softly, tears burning the edges of your eyes, not from sadness but from recognition, of how far you've come, of how deeply you were loved, of how nothing real ever leaves. You rest your head against the glass, and the reflection staring back is calm, whole, luminous. You whisper one last thing, not as hope but as truth, I was never forgotten. Outside, the stars shimmer in agreement, brighter than they've been all year, as if applauding the courage it took to remember yourself. Somewhere miles away, he stands on the same earth under the same sky and whispers the same words at the same moment. The wind carries them both upward, merging, rising until they dissolve into light. The universe exhales, smiling, its lesson complete. Love was never distance. It was recognition. And now that you've remembered, everything is exactly as it should be. Watch what happens next.